Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with a special Independence Day edition. Sorry, I just had to turn down the volume on my tablet. I forgot to do that earlier. But I put up a poll before on Friday saying I might do this, and which MRE would be the one to meet my tray. I figured the beef patty or the barbecue beef, because a lot of people like to get their grills fired up, and so I figured these are the two closest menus to something that you would find on a grill. So Angry Blacksmith is here. Sure, others will be trickling in. So only a few votes were cast, but this jalapeno beef patty, MRE, did beat out the barbecue beef. This is the 2024 pack from Sapaco. Very tightly vacuum sealed. And it looks like there may have been a little bit of an oops right there. This is cheese spread with bacon, but it looks like there's been a bit of a leak. But we'll deal with that. Well, this tear notch is going to be a bit of a fail on this one, so I'm going to switch it up. Welcome, Carter Kate. Thanks for dropping in. I see Corky the Garden Slayer is here. Susan is here. Thanks for dropping in. I get these rations either just direct purchase from different sellers, or I have traded for some. This is the card that has the nutritional information for the beef patty and au gratin potatoes. So there'll be two hot things in here. Well, they will be hot after I take them out of the pot that is on the stove coming up to a boil. Here is au gratin potatoes. This is bread mini loaf sliced. So that's actually a good thing to see, because if I did not see that, I had a backup plan. And they put Mountain House granola in here. But guess what? I'm not going to bother with that. This is the apple cinnamon granola. I've had the blueberry Mountain House granola. It's awesome. But this would be a breakfast item. It's odd to see that in what will be a lunch or dinner menu, but I will save that for another day. And here is a cheese spread with bacon. I'm actually going to look this over for any possible leaking. This contains real bacon, not the imitation stuff. And because I do not eat pork, I'm going to swap that out for cheese spread with jalapeno. Because you gotta kick up the jalapenos. Got peanut M&Ms. Here is the accessory packet. And this one actually contains coffee. One of the few of the current run of MREs that contains coffee. So if it didn't have coffee, I had a backup plan for that. But it looks like I may not have to go with that backup plan. Got the usual spoon, the flameless ration heater, I do not use these because after all I'm at home. This is the hot beverage bag. I save all these. Have barbecue sauce. But I'm not going to go that way with this tonight. We'll save that barbecue sauce for another day. Here is a jalapeno beef patty. And then this is beverage-based orange. This is one of those stick packets that has artificial sweetener, usually intended for 500 ml to 20 ounce water bottle. But I got something different in mind. I'm going with a summer classic. Then the last item in here, they put mayonnaise. Nope, saving that for another day. I got another idea. Let's see, got some more people in here. Raphael is here. Carcap. Brandon is here. Now there are jokes. Again, this is a 2024 pack US MRE jalapeno beef patty. But I'm going to have a little fun with this one. So instead of that orange drink, I have this old iced tea drink mix from an earlier ration. After all, iced tea is a summer classic. That just went into the old drinking jar. I'm going to be using the MRE bag to put the trash in. That's why I cut it in the way that I did, so I can do that. Shaw is here. Thanks for dropping in. Prideful Max, welcome. This is a legit U.S. military ration. Not just Army, but any branch of the U.S. military, they will use these rations. Occasionally, they might be handed out in disaster situations. I'm going to be using my titanium spork to stir this because this is what I use for all of my reviews. I'll give that another stir at a later time. In the accessory pack, got all these items. Got Lighthouse rear roll, a packet of sugar, a moist towelette, Splenda, which I'm not going to be using, but I saved those, tiny packet of salt, a packet of non-dairy coffee creamer, and this has Bill's Brew, and then 2 pieces of peppermint gum. I'm going to get all these other things aside. Ternach in the creamer packet wasn't that good, so Cold War Prepper is here. Thanks for dropping in. There's the sugar packet in there. Now what I'm going to do is take these two items here, the au gratin potatoes and the beef patty. I'm going to go into the kitchen and put these on the stove. I have a pot on there. And then I will bring back the kettle that has a hot water for my coffee. There's my coffee stirred up. I have a couple of patriotic lights here just to kind of add a little color to my little table. Now this pre-sliced bread is a new item. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, see what this looks like. I stick an oxygen absorber in there. Curtis is here. Thanks for dropping in. See, the Mountain House granolas, you know, the blueberry granola is very good. I've had that one a few times. And I believe you can buy that in your standard civilian pack. So this bread is supposed to be pre-sliced, but you have to be very, very careful when you're separating the two pieces. If it's overly squished, like this one is, it could be a bit of a problem, but if it is, I still have my plan B. And I may end up going to that. I thought about getting my Canadian hamburger bun, but nope. Yeah, this is not coming apart as easily as it should have. In fact, I'm getting the crumbs. All over here. Yeah, this is not coming apart the way it's supposed to. So I'm going to go to my plan B. Like I said, I wasn't sure what kind of bread would be in here. So I brought a couple of wheat snack breads. I'm going to quick open these up. Oh, well, maybe not that one. That's a... Nope. Down's a hot mess. That's all dried up. It's crumbled. Something happened to that one, so... Maybe I can make do with half of this. And that was a 2019 wheat snack bread, so something must have happened to that. This is what it's supposed to look like. Mike Pressure Reviews is here. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, I got your cup out. This pre-sliced bread was an absolute fail, as you can tell by this right here. Very hard to separate it, so good thing I brought my plan B, but one of them is a hot mess. In addition to the wheat snack bread, I decided to actually I got another wheat snack bread here. We'll try this one. Oh yeah, actually what I opened up was a patriotic sugar cookies. Yeah, patriotic sugar cookies. Because this really didn't have much of a dessert. And I thought it needed one. And because it's Independence Day, so why not the patriotic sugar cookies? A lot of these are broken up pretty bad, but I'm still going to eat them anyway. So again, for those just tuning in late, I'm doing a special Independence Day dinner stream. So the M&Ms will go right here. What I have for this, what will be a cheeseburger, is I went into my kitchen, I got a mustard packet, a ketchup packet, and of course the cheese spread with jalapenos. So I'm going to go back into the kitchen and get that jalapeno beef patty and the au gratin potatoes. I am back. I use this to carry my hot items from the kitchen. It's just a dome lid from my cookware, and I have a paper towel to dry them off. I'm going to open up the au gratin potatoes first. Instead of using the tear notch that goes this way, I'm going to cut it this way since I'm putting it here. And that is au gratin potatoes out. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the packets. Multi-Magnum is here. Thanks for dropping in. That's right. I'm having a little fun with jalapeno beef patty menu. The bread, again, that was in here was that new bread that's supposed to be pre-sliced. But it was very, very hard to open up. And this is what it looks like. That's one side. And that's the other side. So I wasn't sure what kind of bread was going to be in here, so I went with the wheat snack breads. The patriotic sugar cookies did not come in this MRE, but I wanted to have them anyway, so. This is a cheese spread with jalapenos. This MRE had the cheese spread with bacon, but because I do not eat pork, I'm not eating that one. On this one, they did put the tear notch going this way. But I'm going to help it along a bit. There we go. In fact, that might help it along a little bit more. There we go. Because this is packed in a broth, I use the fork into my spork to get it out of there. And I'll put the rest of the cheese spread on this piece of bread here. And just for the heck of it, I put a tiny bit on the gratin potatoes. Dump them. I'll just stop it there. Thanks for dropping in. This is a 2024 pack US MRE jalapeno beef patty, and I'm having a little extra fun with it. So I decided to make a cheeseburger. These are called patriotic cookies. But a lot of these are broken, so it's hard to recognize all of the shapes. But there's usually the torch from the Statue of Liberty and the head from the Statue of Liberty. There's usually, sometimes there might be Uncle Sam's hat, a flag, and the Liberty Bell. But these are broken up pretty bad. They're sugar cookies. And it looks like some of the cheese has slid out, but that's okay. I'm just gonna scoop that right up and put that right back on. This MRE had mayonnaise and barbecue sauce, but nope, gotta be cheeseburger. Ketchup and mustard from my kitchen. Jalapeno cheese spread from my stash to replace the bacon cheese spread. I will pass that bacon cheese spread on to someone else. Now this is my dinner time. I'm in Iowa. I started this stream at 7 p.m. Central. But for the soldier in the field or in a training mission where rations are issued instead of going to a central kitchen or field kitchen, this could be a lunch, depending on what time of day the soldier would either be handed this particular menu or, you know, if it's in his or her pack, which one they take out of the pack to eat for that meal. Here's our Fishy's Friends Spicy Tuna Rolls. Thanks for dropping in. Gonna have a bite of the au gratin potatoes. It's good to see these in a menu. You don't get them all that often. It's nice to see some kind of a potato item to go with the burger. After all, you really can't put potato chips in an MRE, and you really can't do the french fries. You could do the potato sticks like what was used back in the 80s and early 90s. I think those could be brought back and put with this jalapeno beef patty, so it'd be like you're having burgers and fries. And this MRE provided an orange drink, but I decided to go with an iced tea. After all, that's a summer classic. This one had, of all things in it, Mountain House apple cinnamon granola, but I'm saving this for another day. The patriotic sugar cookies did not come in here, but I pulled them out of my stash because I thought that'd be appropriate for Independence Day. And this one did provide coffee, otherwise I would have had to, I was going to go with Type 2, an older coffee. But since this one had the Bill's Brew, that Type 2 will come out another day. All that liquid still on the beef patties, making the cheese want to slide off, but that's okay. Burgers are supposed to be messy. Yeah, ice, that is exactly what it is. This is a US MRE, meal ready to eat. This one was packed last year. This is menu 19. And I have decided that I'm just going to have a little fun with it. Change things up. Take a pass on a couple of things. Add a couple of things. Now, patriotic sugar cookies did not come in this, but I figure for Independence Day, yeah, they're coming out. Can't go wrong with them, even though they're all busted up. This new bread that's supposed to be pre-sliced, so you just have to open it up. This is what happened when I tried to open it up. Once I completely fell apart. And then this side, it's just going to be a cheese sandwich. I put the rest of the jalapeno cheese spread on here. The flavor is definitely improvement over the wheat snack bread. This happens to be the multigrain snack bread. But the fact that opening this was a problem, like I said earlier, I was not sure what kind of bread would be in here. Sometimes they put tortillas in there. Sometimes the wheat snack bread. One other time I had this menu, I had a Canadian hamburger bun, so I used that instead. But tonight, because that bread was a fail, as far as splitting it open, I just decided to go for my plan B. This is the au gratin potatoes that is supplied with this MRE. They're not bad. I'm happy to eat these. We got peanut M&Ms here. So that would be a real treat for the person in the field getting this. Not all MREs will have a candy in them, but they're supposed to be, and most MREs do come with something that would be considered dessert. And I think that's what this granola, it could have been a substitution for something else. I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out if whoever was packing this particular MRE did not have what would normally be in there, but this granola was there, so he or she grabbed it and threw it in. That's just a guess. I have no idea. But like I said, that will come out another day. Or I just may choose to just eat it as normal breakfast here at home. Yeah, the whole wheat mini loaf, that's what this is. But I really wouldn't call it a mini loaf, it's more like a mini mass. Because it fell apart, but that's okay. There's a site called MREinfo.com, and the people that run that site do try to put every single US MRE menu list on there for what year. Granted, substitutions may happen. You know, there have been, and I got one of those. The tuna MRE sometimes had this jalapeno beef patty or the white cooked chicken chunks substituted in place of the tuna if there was a problem getting the tuna. So that can happen where substitutions could be made, just so the correct number of rations can get packed and put into the cases and then sent off to where they're supposed to go. Uh, Bee Village. This is menu 19 US MRE, packed last year. And I'm just making a few changes. Just for a special for Independence Day. I thought it would be fun to tweak this menu a little bit. Mother Earth Garden Club is here. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, when you're a city slicker like me, you are going to hear that, but my previous cat was not bothered by it. My current cat, she could care less. These gratin potatoes could also be paired with the barbecue beef. I think that would be a nice combo. But they're with the jalapeno beef patty today. Sweaty guy, thanks for dropping in. Yeah, I live in Des Moines. I live in the city out of necessity. I do not drive. So I take city buses to go wherever I need to go. No buses today, so I had to get a ride from another member of my mosque. And the guy happens to be a city bus driver, so that made it pretty handy. So he gave me a ride to the mosque, and then when it was time ready to leave, he brought me home. And no, he did not bring a bus. Management would not have appreciated him taking a bus out of the garage just to pick me up. Plus, it wouldn't fit in the mosque parking lot anyway. It's rather small. It hurts. Yeah, it would be a good lunch for earlier in the day, but since it is my dinner, my supper, this would be a good menu for lunch. On Sundays is when I normally do my live ration reviews. But I figured, you know, for Independence Day, I'm not doing anything else. Just chilling here at home. I thought, yeah, I'm just going to go live. Do a little something special. So I changed this one up a bit. This mini loaf that's supposed to be pre-sliced, well, it completely fell apart the one side just crumbled, and the other side was about to. So the cheese spread that I did not put on my beef patty or on the wheat snack bread that I brought in as a backup plan in case I had an issue with this, or I wasn't sure what kind of bread would be in here. So I put the rest of the cheese spread in here. This is a newer item. And I think this one might have just gotten crushed because when I got this particular MRE out of the case, very, very tight vacuum seal on it. So this bread did get crushed. The patriotic sugar cookies did not come in here, but I chose to add them just for a little extra fun. For instance, this is the torch from the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, I heard about that flooding down there. The last prediction of rain that was for here in the Des Moines area really didn't amount to a whole lot. I was hoping to maybe collect a little bit of that rainwater so I could use it to water some of my plants, but none fell in the bowl and the two pitchers that I had put down on my deck floor to try to capture some of that water. But because I don't live on the ground floor, it's a lot harder for me to capture rainwater the way I currently have things set up. But should I have to rely more on that, I can cobble something together on my deck. It may mean moving some of my plants around, but yeah, I'd do it. Wow, I think that's longer than any of the dry spells we have had here this year. 2 years ago, it was like that. It was really, really dry. We've had moderate rain here, and we're due to get some more tomorrow, but who knows what will come of it. But if I get wet going to an event tomorrow, so be it. I'm still going. Well, David, thanks for dropping in. What you're looking at is 2024 pack. So this is packed last year. US MRE menu 19. The jalapeno beef patty. I made a few changes. I dropped a couple things that were supplied in the bag, and I replaced them with others. For instance, the cheese spread with bacon, real bacon, not the fake bacon flavored stuff. I do not eat pork, so I wasn't sure what kind of a cheese spread or if any would be in there, so I brought a cheese spread with jalapenos. Then I brought a ketchup packet and a mustard packet from my kitchen. This mini loaf destroyed itself, so I have wheat snack bread. The jalapeno beef patty in between two pieces of the wheat snack bread. For a dessert type item, they put a breakfast item. This is Mountain House apple cinnamon granola, but I'm leaving that for another day. They put in an orange drink powder, but I substituted an instant iced tea because I figure iced tea is your typical summer drink. And this menu did supply coffee. Most of the current US MREs, you don't get coffee in the accessory packet. So, in case this one did not, I brought an instant coffee. So, I guess I can put that one away and save it for another day. There is Viper in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Patriotic sugar cookies. These are pretty much little pieces. These did not come in the MRE, but I had them, so I decided for Independence Day, I'm bringing them out. These are au gratin potatoes and M&Ms. They both came in the bag. In addition to the bacon cheese spread, they have put barbecue sauce and mayonnaise, which I think is kind of odd. I don't know what the idea was there, so I'm saving those for another day. Rocky is here. Welcome. I'm seeing lots of names I had not seen in here before. Usually I do this on Sundays at 7 p.m. U.S. Central, and I will. I will bring out the beef goulash MRE that I was hoping to do a direct comparison to the Polish ration I opened up this past Sunday, but what it called goulash, it called English goulash, and what that actually was is a little can of beef luncheon loaf, kind of like Spam, and a completely different main entree, the bigos with kielbasa. Bigos is hunter stew, and of course kielbasa is Polish for sausage. It was a beef kielbasa. The Carlos Perry is here. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you jumping in the chats. So with these changes I made to the menu tonight, I just had to have a little fun. Some of these MREs are just so easy to mix it up. You know, when you're at home and you got all these other things, you can change it up, have a little fun. Yeah, that can be a hard one. That's where hobbies can come in. You can do some just personal education just for the sheer enjoyment of the learning process. Just trying some different activities, especially ones that involve that excessively adorable little sprout. Of course, he's not quite so little anymore. He's getting bigger. Now if you got some friends, you can do things with it. Don't involve alcohol, maybe going to a concert, going to a sporting event, going to a festival. Lasso, welcome. Thanks for dropping in. I decided to do a special holiday stream tonight. And I had put up a poll which MRE between the two that I thought would be the most associated with grilling. One was this jalapeno beef patty. People like to grill burgers. And then the other one was the barbecue beef. So this jalapeno beef patty had the most votes by the time I decided to call it. This one was packed in last year. The barbecue beef one was packed in 2022. But that's still a good one. I do like that one. Maybe I'll save the barbecue sauce that was in here for... here's the barbecue sauce packet. Maybe I can save that for when I do open up that barbecue beef from 2022. Yeah, I do like these au gratin potatoes. And I think this would be a good side for the barbecue beef as well. But another thing you could do is, at one time, I did an MRE version of what I call a hot beef sandwich. But I had the mashed potatoes, or it was the scalloped potatoes or au gratin, I don't remember. There was a potato. There was the beef brisket, which got taken out of the menu lineup. And then the wheat snack breads. And I had put the potatoes down in between the two pieces of the bread. And then I put the brisket on top of that. And because I took the beef patty out of the pouch, leaving most of the broth in the pouch, I could have taken the potatoes, put them down in between the two pieces of the bread, say like one on this side of the potatoes, one on that side, and then breaking up the beef patty, putting that on top with the broth, and doing it that way. But because I wanted a cheeseburger, this is what I did. Yeah, thanks, Clover Pepper. Thanks for dropping it. He streams every Monday at 8 p.m. Central, that's 9 Eastern, discussing a nonfiction prepping related book. And then he periodically does fiction book reviews and discussions. And those usually take place, I think, one Thursday of the month, the last Thursday of the month usually. But that's when he streams, and then he does other videos like, talking about different pieces of gear, different types of foods. Saying, this could be good for your prepping supplies. He may talk about why he picked a certain item. And I do a little bit of that. Not to the extent that he does, but I do a little bit of that. I do a monthly shopping haul video showing items that I picked up over several days. In fact, I came home from the mosque with some items that I did not expect to receive. They were just handed to me, so I knew one bag of items, but one of them was a late lunch. Then when I do get to go out, because I don't drive, it's a lot harder for me to go out just on my own and do something. But when I do get a driver and I can go somewhere, for instance, a few weeks ago, I went to the town of Woodward, where I helped some local Native Americans sell fry bread tacos. But there was a short parade, so I shot video of that, and then we opened up for people to come buy lunch. But rain was wreaking havoc with us and all the other vendors, and some just closed up before we did. We tried to stake it out, but then the rain really got bad to the point where we were literally standing in 2 inches of water, and the rain was messing with the generator that we were using to supply electricity for our booth, and it was messing with the propane stove that we were using to actually cook the fry bread. And it got windy, so it was just causing so many problems, but we still had a great time. We didn't have the sales that we were hoping to get, but we had some cool vendors on either side of us who came and got fry bread tacos. And I went over to one and tried some of his freeze-dried candy. A vendor on one side of us has a freeze dryer, and he freeze dries candy. If you look on eBay, you'll see sellers offering up little bags of say freeze-dried Skittles or freeze-dried Sour Patch Kids or freeze-dried gummy bears or, stuff like that. If it's a really hard candy like Tic Tacs or the Lifesavers, the white Lifesavers, there's already very low moisture content that it really doesn't work. But so you put gummy bears in the freeze dryer or Skittles in there, then you'll have more of a result, and the texture changes, the appearance changes. It's really fascinating how that all works. But we still had a good time despite coming out of there looking like a pack of wet dogs. But in September, I assist with the kids' crafts for the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow, and I am on the planning committee for that. I am not Indigenous myself, but I just kind of fell into it. I went to attend just to check it out when it was at the state fairgrounds here in Des Moines. But then the other woman who does it, she asked me if I would stick around while she goes and takes a dinner break, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll hang. So I did. And when she came back, I stayed. That was a Saturday. And I said, I want to help you out tomorrow. So I went back the Sunday, helped out. And then I just kind of fell into it and stuck with it. And so this is not just Indigenous Americans who are presenting during the powwow. It is groups who represent different cultures. For instance, there is a Kung Fu school here in central Iowa. They do a demonstration. I think they're called taiko drummers, people who play these huge Japanese drums. There's a group that does that. There's a group that does a Hawaiian hula. We've had belly dancers. And we've had some indigenous Mexicans come up. There are still some Aztecs and Incas still living in Mexico, and maybe a couple other tribes I don't know the names of. I didn't get that much into that, even though I studied Spanish and Mexican history and culture. I just didn't get as deep as I would have liked. But yeah, they presented some dancing, and we've had some African performances as well. And then occasionally there will be someone who will present rescued animals that cannot be released back into the wild, so they are educational. The presenter will bring out the animal, talk about its habitat, you know, and we've had a falconer demonstrate how one would hunt with a falcon, so that was pretty awesome. Sorry, the con, I cannot quite figure out what that is supposed to mean. I do apologize. But, and for those coming in late, packed in 2024, last year, US MRE, menu 19. I'm having a little fun with it by taking some items out and putting different items in, just to make it a little more special for the holiday. These broken up pieces. Oh, this one is complete. This is supposed to be the Statue of Liberty head. These are patriotic sugar cookies. Different shapes, but a lot of these are broken, so they're not really recognizable. Those are not included. The ketchup and mustard came from my kitchen. The cheese spread that came with this ration was the cheese spread with bacon, but I substituted the jalapeno cheese spread instead. This is wheat snack bread, 2 pieces of it. This is a newer bread, but when I tried to split it apart, which you were supposed to be able to do, this happened. It just completely obliterated itself. But that won't go to waste. I'll still eat that. Then the rest of the cheese spread I just put on some of this. This has a different taste than the wheat snack bread. It does taste a little better, but because this ration was very tightly vacuum packed, this got squished to the point where it's hard to open it up. The coffee did come with the ration. A lot of the newer menus do not have coffee in them, which a lot of us reviewers, and I'm sure the troops themselves are not happy about that. We like our coffee. So maybe they start packing their own. But, the coffee came with it. Au gratin potatoes, that's what's here. Peanut M&Ms, they came with it. The cold tea was a packet I had in my stash, so I pulled that out instead of the orange drink that was included. That one will come out another day. And this apple cinnamon granola done by Mountain House, that was put in there, but I'm saving that for another day when I need a breakfast. No hot sauce in the ration, but because I used the cheese spread with jalapenos, and with the jalapeno that's already in the beef patty, that's giving it the spice that I like. I almost got a hot sauce out of my kitchen, but I did not. But the ketchup and mustard and the cheese spread, yeah, that's the way to do it. but I wasn't sure what hot sauce I would have gotten. I could have gone with the French Red Hot Tabasco or some of the other ones that I have, the little packets. Plus I have some bottles of different hot sauces in my fridge. I could have gotten into one of those, but I didn't. I chose to pass on the orange drink and opt for the instant tea instead because, after all, iced tea is a popular summertime drink. And what you see here, in between my drinking jar and my mug, just a couple of my patriotic looking little lights, just for a little color on my little table. Well, yeah, I bet they love that. There's another popular item called cowboy candy. It involves jalapeños. I don't know what all goes in it. I don't think I've ever had it. But there are people who like to make it. Actually, Mark, who has a channel's a Chef Tech and Magic Acres, he makes cowboy candy and he gives it to other relatives who like it. Can have another bite of au gratin potatoes. I'm going to guess Boshapna. I'm not quite sure the language, but that is going to be my best guess. I am Polish descent, but I don't know a whole lot of Polish. But I have worked with Bosnians. There are Bosnians who attend my mosque. I know Lithuanian is somewhat similar to Polish. So if I'm not correct on that, I do apologize. As Sumi is here, thanks for dropping in. This is a 2024 pack, menu 19. I decided to do this special holiday dinner stream in addition to my regular Sunday night dinner stream. Normally I do these, I start it at 7 p.m. U.S. Central, that's 8 Eastern. And way early in the morning on the other side of the pond. And I decided to change this one up a bit, just to have a little fun. This is that new they call it a mini loaf pre-sliced, but when I tried to split the halves open, it just kind of destroyed itself. But this is what it looks like on the inside. It does have a different taste than the wheat snack bread. So that is the outside of it. But I put some of the jalapeno cheese spread in between the two pieces of it. The patriotic sugar cookies did not come in this, but I had them, so I decided to bring them out. The scalloped au gratin potatoes did come in the bag, as did the peanut M&Ms and the coffee. I did not add the Splenda. You know, they put sugar and Splenda in the accessory packets, but I saved the Splendas for anyone who has to use those type of sweeteners. And this had an orange drink powder, the sugar-free kind, that's just in a little thin packet designed for your standard 500 ml to 20-ounce water bottles. I chose an instant iced tea instead, just because iced tea is a popular summer drink. So I brought out 2 pieces of the wheat snack bread just in case I had an issue with what bread may have already been in the bag. I got ketchup and mustard from my kitchen to put on here to make it a proper cheeseburger. And the packers put barbecue sauce and mayonnaise in the ration bag, but I'm saving those for another day. And believe it or not, apple cinnamon granola. I don't get the reasoning behind that, but I'll save this for another day when I actually want something like this for breakfast. I've never tried the Mountain House apple cinnamon granola, so next time I want a breakfast, I'll probably just fix that up. Nihuyaspe. I am taking a wild guess at the pronunciation. I do apologize if that's wrong. Welcome, thanks for dropping in. This is a 2024 pack US MRE menu 19 jalapeno beef patty, but I'm having a little fun with it. Kind of a holiday special stream. I thought people would enjoy something a little different. Just in case there's not much else worth watching until it's time to go outside and watch fireworks when it gets dark. I just ate some of these patriotic sugar cookies. They're all busted up, so the shapes are not really recognizable, unfortunately, but they're still good. They did not come in this MRE, so I just added them because why not? The peanut M&Ms did come in here. The coffee did. Then I substituted the instant iced tea for the orange drink. Ketchup and mustard from my kitchen. Cheese spread with jalapenos to replace the cheese spread with bacon. because why not have a little bit more jalapeno on your jalapeno beef patty? Yeah, I don't either. In fact, yesterday morning, people were popping off and same Wednesday, but because I went out in the afternoon, well, late morning I left here to go to my favorite lunch spot that I hit every week before I go to the mosque to do any setup and supply check. Because normally on Fridays outside of Ramadan we serve lunch after the Friday prayer, but today we did not. But we're having a dinner tomorrow, so I wanted to go check up on things, see if any new supplies have been donated. So I'm gonna go back there tomorrow to help out with that community dinner that we're having. But yeah, some people were, they're not supposed to, at least here in Des Moines, but here in Iowa, you're allowed to set off fireworks on your property, but not on public places. But I live across the street from a small city park, and people like to pump them off in that park all the time. So I bet tomorrow morning when I go to the bus stop, I'm going to see all kinds of residue and scrap from the fireworks that were lit up, tonight. I'll see all that crap in the morning when I go to the bus stop. In fact, we had some incidents where it was like Tuesday night, or early Tuesday evening, there were several police cars and fire trucks on the street. Turns out 2 houses away from my apartment building, someone had set off fireworks too close to the house and it caught fire. And somebody got hurt as a result. And I think someone got arrested. Yep, someone's going to be paying big time for that mistake. Yeah, I actually have some little things, but I have double bag them and just stash them. I'm just not choosing to light them up. You know, people were doing it on the apartment property, you know, the yard in front of the building. But I'm glad that the parents were actually supervising the kids who were holding the sparklers. Plus, some were doing it a little too close to the building. It's a good thing the grass was a bit wet from recent rain. Otherwise, we could have had a problem here. Yep, they can. Even the smallest of sparklers. If you're not careful, someone can get into a little trouble. And that's what happened Tuesday night. When the house near me got lit up. Fortunately, the fire was not too bad, got put out pretty quickly, but somebody did get hurt, and I think somebody got arrested. Yeah, not a good thing to be going to the can for. Stupid mistakes like that. That's like a speeder who gave the excuse, oh, I wanted to go get fast food, so I was driving fast. Well, that driver got one heck of a ticket and will probably get the license suspended. Yeah. Yeah, those are popular around here. The snakes are popular. The little smoke balls are popular, although I don't see too many of those, but the snakes I have seen. And of course, people like to light up the bottle rockets, not caring where they go once they're launched. And depending on where I'm standing, either looking out my slider or out a hallway or a laundry room window in the building. Sometimes I wonder if people are lighting them up, letting them go right underneath the trees. which would not be a good thing. But the law changed so that cities cannot have very strict ordinances or rules on fireworks use. And Des Moines did have some heavy restrictions, but those are void now because of the new law that our governor signed last month. Actually, she signed it in May. Our governor's name is Kim Reynolds. And she is not seeking re-election, so there will be a full Republican and Democratic primaries next year to fill her seat. She's going to be going after something else after her current term expires. And I just heard a pop of a firecracker that was probably shot off maybe a block from here, and my slider's closed, my air conditioner's running. But those really loud ones, it's getting a little darker, so people are going to start popping them off. And by the way, for those who may not have heard, Trump came to the Iowa State Fairgrounds here in Des Moines yesterday for a speech that is supposed to be the kickoff to what's called America 250, because next year, on July 4th, we will have been a country for 250 years. So this year's 249. Yeah, those snakes, if you put it on something that you don't care if it gets stained, so if you do it on a piece of scrap tile or brick or a piece of wood or something like that, or bare dirt, yeah, that would be fine. But the little different colored smoke balls, I haven't seen anybody lighting those up around here, so I don't know if they're just not as popular. I haven't seen any evidence of the snakes being used either. But who knows what I'll see when I walk across the park to the bus stop tomorrow. Last night here, we had an outdoor concert called Yankee Doodle Pops, done by the Des Moines Symphony Orchestra, and they played on the grounds of the state capitol building. And then after that concert ended, a fireworks show that was, they set up the fireworks along the river, or on one of the river bridges, and those were set off last night, and I could hear them from here. I watered my plants last night, probably about this time, maybe a little later, and I was hearing the fireworks from that show. Now that I don't mind, because that's professionally done. But just people on their own popping them off, not being so careful, yeah, I'm worried about that. Maybe more concerned than worried, but I'm hoping that people will learn a lesson from what happened Tuesday and be a bit more careful. Now, some of them that they use around here could be easily mistaken for pew-pew shots. And when I hear one that I think is one of those, I have called the police, saying that, I heard sound like someone shooting something other than fireworks, and I'm trying to guess a direction from where I'm at. And sometimes it can be kind of hard because of the way sound bounces around here. But I have called those into the police. Because of the law change, I'm just not bothering to call the police on fireworks being shot off. When they're not supposed to be doing it, or maybe doing it in a little, being a bit careless. I just figured there's really not much they can do about it. And they're getting a crap ton of calls anyway. So I'm just not going to add to that. Yeah, the park across the street from me has a central area that has hard surface, cement and brick. And there's a stage area. And that's probably where people are lighting them up there, because it is an open area. And they probably think, it's okay to do it there, but the ordinance says you cannot do it anywhere but your own property, where you live. But people do it in the park anyway, or they'll go out in the middle of the street and do it. Yeah, I would guess teens did that last year, and I called it into the police, and they shut up pretty fast and chased them off. because they're doing it in the middle of the street. Fortunately, there was no traffic when they're doing it, but if they could have picked a bad time, that could have been a real problem. There's Tim Riley in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Oh, yeah, there's a big issue with that. Yeah, local news outlets, radio and TV have had info on how to keep pets calm. My cat could care less. She doesn't give a flip. Last night, the Yankee Doodle Pops fireworks didn't faze her at all. She just slept through it. Fidelito, welcome. There's not much left. The jalapeno beef patty, which is an entree in this 2024 pack US MRE menu 19. I had a little fun with this one. I made some substitutions. I left off the cheese spread with bacon that was in the bag and substituted the cheese spread with jalapenos. The patriotic sugar cookies did not come in this one, but I had them, so I figured it's July 4th, why not? Even though they're hardly recognizable for what shapes they're supposed to be, but I don't care, I'm still going to eat them. The Ration packers put this Mountain House apple cinnamon granola in there, but I'm taking a pass on that tonight. The sugar cookies instead. That new bread, that mini loaf, I tried to separate the two halves, but it just blew up. And it's a good thing I brought in the two pieces of the wheat snack bread and used those to put the patty on. I brought ketchup and mustard from my kitchen to put on there. I wanted a proper cheeseburger. I put barbecue sauce and mayonnaise in the bag, but again, leaving those off. This one did come with coffee, so I didn't have to go to my plan B. I brought an instant coffee packet in case there was not one in here. And this instant tea took the place of the orange drink powder because I figured iced tea is a very popular summer drink, so why not? And the reason why I chose the jalapeno beef patty tonight was because I put up a poll on my community tab. Say, which menu should I pull out? The jalapeno beef patty or the barbecue beef? The beef patty won when I decided to put up a comment on that post saying that the poll is closed. And then I put up a new post saying that this one had more votes than the other. So that's why I did it. I just wanted to have a little extra fun for a holiday. I got a couple of holiday themed lights here just for a little color on my little table. Yeah, it got up to 91 here, I think. Let's see, I'm gonna do a double check. Yeah, I got up to 91 here. Yeah, it has cooled down. It is still 86 Fahrenheit, at least according to that weather app. This whole next week is supposed to be in the 80s, mid to upper 80s. Yeah, humidity is at 59%, so could be worse. But yeah, I went out, before I went to the mosque today, I went out on the deck and watered my pots. Some of them have plants, some of the seeds never sprouted. Even my basil that has normally just gone bonkers, there really isn't much going on with it, so I don't think I'm going to get much this year, but at least I'm trying. I'm finishing off what was that new bread that just basically exploded when I tried to separate it, that mini loaf. I do like the flavor of it over the wheat snack bread, but this one just got crushed. MRE, welcome. Thanks for dropping in. This is 2024 pack US MRE, menu 19. Packed by Sapaco, which is one of the 3 companies contracted to produce the American rations. Mariqual and Warnick are the other 2. Thanks for dropping in. I do this usually every Sunday at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. So this coming Sunday, I will open up a goulash MRE. The last Sunday in July, I will not be live because I am heading to Lake Icaria with family for our annual trip. And signal out there is spotty at best. Plus, I may be too busy trying to catch a fish. Lake Icaria is outside of the town of Corning. It's the area that my late dad knew very well because he was born in a little town called Carbon. It used to be a coal town, hence the name. So he knew the whole area and camped there as a kid and as a young adult. And after he died from cancer, a couple years after, my mom had his name put on one of the memorial benches that surround the lake. She paid the county a certain amount of money because Lake Icaria is a county park as opposed to a state park or federal. So Adams County manages the lake and the park. There's a marina where people can rent different kinds of boats, including kayaks, little paddle boats, and there are slips where people who own larger boats can store them all the time. Plus you can rent boats like your basic fishing boats and pontoon boats, what we used to call party barges back in the day. And there's an area where there's a beach area, a swimming area. But the water was pretty nasty last year. The fishing was bad. We had horrendous winds which destroyed canopies. Ours and another groups. So they ended up in a dumpster instead of coming home. But despite the troubles that we had with the wind, the really bad heat and humidity, we used to have a good time there. So on the 27th of July, that's when we're going. We'll come back on August 1st. And hopefully I'll have some nice pictures of fish. Oh, Mother, that is awesome. I have a cousin who got it in her late 30s. And she gave that cancer the shove off. It was a cousin on my mom's side, and then an aunt on my late dad's side got it, and she gave it the shove off, but she died of something totally unrelated a few years ago. But I have known others who have kicked that cancer to the curb. So because I have it in my family, that jacks my risk. But I get the regular checks. And I'll continue to do that. Yeah, my cousin is just a couple of years older than I am, so she's 61, maybe 62, I'm not sure, but having got that in her late 30s before she turned 40, while still trying to raise her daughters. Yeah, she had her late husband was a big piece of moral support for her during that time. Then, of course, he got killed by a drunk driver driving home from work one night. But my cousin raised her two daughters. They are both very, very successful, very intelligent. One of them works in the aerospace industry, and I don't remember what her other daughter does, but equally as smart. Welcome, Midnight. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, 2024 pack US MRE menu 19 with a little bit of tweaking by me just for the holiday, because why not? Oh, I like respectful questions. I want to keep it family friendly in here. So what I did was the jalapeno beef patty got turned into a cheeseburger with 2 pieces of wheat snack bread, because the bread that was supplied with in the MRE fell apart as I was trying to separate the 2 halves. But I just finished those off. I added ketchup and mustard from my kitchen, and I used a packet of jalapeno cheese spread, because why not more jalapeno on a jalapeno beef patty? The au gratin potatoes are here. Got peanut M&Ms here, which I'll be digging into in a bit. Coffee. This was one of the 2024 menus that actually does have coffee in it. Most of the MRE menus do not, for some reason. The patriotic sugar cookies did not come with this meal, but I figured for Independence Day, why not? So that took the place of this Mountain House apple cinnamon granola, which is a breakfast item, which I find kind of odd coming in a lunch or dinner menu. So I'll have this for breakfast when I feel like. And the orange drink powder that came in the bag got swapped out for an instant tea, because why not? Iced tea's a summertime staple. But all of the unused items, obviously, I save. The flameless ration heater and the beverage bag I save, the accessory pack items that I do not use. I save all those things. Even a plastic spoon. I'm using a titanium sport. I use this for all my reviews. But I save all the plastic spoons from the rations that I open up. They become part of my emergency supply of utensils to use in case I have to severely restrict my water use. And go to my disposable items instead of using water to wash something like my sport or my tray or what I'm drinking out of. I'll go to my disposables and save as much of what water storage I do have for actual drinking, food prep, and hygiene. Yeah, I did a home test as opposed to a colonoscopy, and according to the lab that analyzed my sample, there was nothing bad going on. But the previous time that I tried to get a colonoscopy scheduled, the idiots at that facility said that it wasn't enough just to have a driver take me home, that I had to have a guardian. I had to be living with someone 24/7, like I can't take care of myself. And that I should not have taken a bus there. Like, no, I'm not someone who can't make their own decisions. I can take care of myself. I do not need to have a guardian. So I said, no, I'm not going for that. I don't like those stupid rules. I follow rules that make sense, not nonsense like that. So I walked. Next time I do schedule a colonoscopy, I'm just going to request the thing. I'd rather do it at a hospital where I know I'll be treated with respect. Yep, that's right. Because we never know when our Creator could call for our soul. I'm just munching on some more of these cookie bits. Yeah, they said, you can't drive. And I said, well, I can't drive anyway now. What's the difference? I've never been allowed to drive, never will, and that's the way I like it. I probably should have saved one of the bigger pieces of these cookies to dip in the coffee, but oh well. Bill's Brew coffee. Not the best ration coffee, but I'll take it. If that Bill's Brew wouldn't have been in there. Coffee Instant Type 2 from more than a couple of years ago. Ooh, 2017 is a pack date on this. But that'll still be good. I prefer Type 1, but you can't, those are harder to come by. Yeah, my mom was exposed to rubella while she was pregnant with me. That's also known as German measles, whether that's a real thing or not, I don't know, but that's just what I know. And that created what's called congenital cataracts. So I had 5 eye operations before I started school. Some of them were in Omaha, Nebraska, and then the remainder were done in Iowa City at the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics. Yeah, I split time in between Nebraska and Iowa when I was a kid. I was born in Nebraska, stayed there for a little bit, came to Iowa for a couple of years, went back to Nebraska for 4 years, back here to Iowa up until I finished high school. Then I went down to Arkansas after that. And I finished up end of '87. I took summer classes at University of Central Arkansas. Figured that was the best way I could get in some of the classes that I wanted for my major and other requirements. So now they're popping off the firecrackers in the park. I don't know if you can hear that popping. Well, it stopped now, but there were a few being popped off. But yeah, I had those 5 eye operations. And that's pretty much it. But if there are any other restrictions in my background, I have no way of knowing. Yeah, it's Bergen Mercy is a hospital I was born in. And my dad's mother was a nurse in where the newborns go. I think she might have done some time in a neonatal intensive care unit, but the main ward for the babies, that's where she spent most of her time. And she was actually working the day I was born, so she took care of me. for the few days that I was in the hospital after I was born. Yeah, she was one of my nurses. So that's the hospital that I know of the best, since that's where she worked, the one I was born at. I don't know which hospital in Omaha I had my surgeries there. I just know the others were done in Iowa City. Ghost Rider, welcome. I'm assuming that you are on the other side of the pond, since you said good morning. It is 9:24 p.m. here in Des Moines. It is dark outside. The park lights are on. People are shooting fireworks in the park. Yeah, like I said, you're on the other side of the pond. So there's not much left, but I opened up US MRE, meal ready to eat, menu 19, packed in 2024. And I had a little fun with it. Added a few things, taken a few things out, just to make it a little more special for our Independence Day. So I have the peanut M&Ms. Not all US MREs get a candy in them. Some do, some don't. But it's still a special treat when you get one. I hope that with that merger, the care either stays good or gets better. I have no experience with that. Myself having never had cancer, but being that I have a family history of it, with my maternal grandmother dying from bone and lung cancer in August of '08. And then my dad had brain and lung cancer. He died in October of '08. Plus, I mentioned my other relatives who kicked breast cancer to the curb. And my oldest sister's husband is currently battling lung cancer. I don't know if he has it. I think he might have it in his bones. But yeah, if it's already spread to the lymph nodes, then it gets a little more serious. So, and I have friends, other friends who have fought cancer. Some kicked it, some have not. It's nasty. It sucks. Wow. That is crazy. And if you don't have insurance or your insurance isn't adequate enough to cover it, yeah, it can knock you for a loop in more ways than one. Now for that person, I'm going to scroll back. So it was, if a Moonlight person is still in the chat, you wanted to ask a question. Yeah, if you're still in the chat, if you still have a question that you want to ask, as long as it's respectful and family friendly, go for it. Yeah, I'm not a know-it-all when it comes to these things. I'm in this because I like it. I have fun with it. Average Joe from north of the border, thanks for dropping in. Jalapeño beef patty with my little tweaks. Only thing left of the ration that I plan on eating was the rest of these peanut M&Ms. And this menu did come with coffee, which I was very happy about. Otherwise, I would have had to pull in my plan B. But I had a little fun with it. This one came with the cheese spread with bacon. But because I don't eat pork, this is going to be passed on to someone else. When I was looking at the bag before I opened it, I thought, oh crap, did this one leak? But nope. I do not find any evidence of leaking from this. I squeezed it, nothing came out, so I'm happy. No mess. But I put jalapeno cheese spread on there instead. That new bread, that mini loaf, I tried to separate it. It exploded. But I had a backup plan already in here. I had 2 wheat snack breads, so I used that. I added ketchup and mustard from my kitchen. The orange drink powder got switched for instant tea drink because, cold tea is a good summertime drink. That's a staple. And I had the patriotic sugar cookies in my stash to replace this apple cinnamon granola, which was in the MRE. Why this is put in there, I have no idea. It just seems kind of weird, but since I wanted to do this holiday stream, I figured I got the patriotic sugar cookies. I'm bringing them in. I don't care what other dessert thing was in there. Had the the au gratin potatoes, which are nice. They did put barbecue sauce and mayonnaise packets in the bag, but nope. They'll come out to play another day. Cohen Barnes, thanks for dropping in. Not much left of this, but later on when this comes up for replay, you can watch the beginning to see what all came in the bag. plus what I substituted. But I had a little poll up on my community tab, and the jalapeno beef patty won over the barbecue beef. So that was the other choice that people had to pick from. I chose these two menus because they're the ones that sounded like they would be the most associated with summer grilling. As opposed to any of the other MRE menus. And so the jalapeno beef patty won. I had this stuff to have a little extra fun with it, so I did. That's okay, Viper. Life happens. I just finished off the M&Ms. Have a couple of patriotic-looking lights here just for a little color on my table. Yeah, I'm sure that, yeah, dogs are easily upset. And Pumpkin decided to wake up and come out here, but she's not interested in the fireworks. She's just coming out to see what's going on with me. Sometimes she sleeps through the whole stream. Probably because I'm doing this on a Friday. It's different than what she's used to. But fireworks don't faze her at all. It's just ambient noise. Yeah, I watched that one, and that's all I'll say. I don't want to spoil it. And Rock or something also tossed up the video today. So I watched that one as well. You hear the fireworks, Pumpkin? There's fireworks outside. It's just noise. Yeah, she's kind of looking and listening for a little bit. And then she just wants to rub on my chair, or, you know how cats are. I keep telling her, you'd rub on a fart if you could. Yeah, the bottle rockets, I think, or is it, I'm not sure which one makes the screaming noise. I don't know if it's Roman candles or the bottle rockets are just more like a whoosh sound as they go up. But inside I can't hear that noise. I'd have to be outside to hear it. But yeah, last year I stood out on the deck, and I was actually shooting some video of the fireworks going off from her in and around the park. Plus in the yard in front of the building here. But they're going off in the park and the surrounding properties. Yeah, some people don't like them, and for others it could trigger a PTSD episode. So I'm sure with the extra noise going off with the change in the state law, there may be a bit of that going on. I finished off the tea, so my drinking jar is empty. And with the trees in front here, it's hard to see a whole lot. I'd have to go down into the park to see more of it, but I can hear some of it. The quieter ones, or the ones that are more distant, are hard to hear with my slider closed and my air conditioner running. Yeah, one of the local radio stations here yesterday had a segment on how to keep a dog calm without resorting to using a sedative or something like that, using drugs to kind of down the dog. And other local outlets have had advice on how to keep pets calm, keep them inside, maybe have another noise like a radio or TV on or something like that to muffle the sound of the fireworks, just different kinds of advice like that. But Mila never freaked out. She could care less. Doesn't bother Pumpkin. Show a brief interest and then, yeah, whatever. Yeah, Benadryl is like a relaxant. There's some people who may take it before they go to bed to use it as a sleep aid, as opposed to something stronger. Yeah, you're a reassurance. Well, my Mike Kreischer Reviews mug is empty. I just finished off the coffee. The Pumpkin has decided it's time to go back to sleeping like a lazy cat. She's not in here anymore. Yep, some probably, you hear more of it, it probably just becomes nothing more than regular ambient noise. Oh, you decided to come back out? Pumpkin, I thought you were going to sleep like a lazy cat. I thought you went to sleep like a lazy cat. Yeah, no doubt that can last a good long time. My step grandfather, who was my maternal grandmother's second husband, he still had those problems right up until his Alzheimer's started to kick in. He served. He was in Germany in World War II, and he went to Vietnam during that war. So he saw action both of those times. But the Vietnam time was more traumatic, and he had issues with different things, not necessarily noises. But until his, the Alzheimer's showed up, yeah, there were some difficult times, but we always stuck by him. Now Pumpkin has decided she's gonna try to watch what's going on through my slider. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of that going on. Now, because you never know what kind of people you're gonna have under your care in those places. I have relatives who had to be in a mental, a psych ward for something, different times. Different relatives had to go through that. And that cannot be easy for the staff who have to take care of those patients. Yeah, even the nurse aides can get it. I had some situations that I had to deal with when I was doing home care. And those situations didn't always involve the patient. It would sometimes involve another person. But got those situations handled. I have never had to deal with someone dying right in front of me, but I have seen what happens when someone with Alzheimer's takes that final downward slide. And, I know something was not quite right with this person. I think there may be something more serious going on here, so I reported it. And my hunch was right on that one. And had another who started having a stroke right in front of me, so I noticed a symptom that I had not heard of with a stroke. I said, yeah, the pitch of the voice dropped. In addition to the other stroke symptoms, I said, yeah, this is something I never heard of, but I reported that because that's what happened to the person. The pitch of the voice dropped. So I stayed until the ambulance showed up and got that person all loaded up. In fact, I did not even leave until the ambulance took off. And then I called back into the office and said, yeah, the ambulance is taking the person to the hospital. I can go to my next client. Elmer, greetings. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, speaking of Ashura, my mosque is having an Ashura dinner tomorrow. So it is still Friday here. So tomorrow being Saturday here in the U.S., northern, west of the Atlantic. So we are having a dinner at my mosque for Ashura tomorrow. I'm going to go there early to start doing some setup. The food will be catered in, so we're not having to deal with that mess, but going to be doing some setup of our community room. So I help with all those events that we have. I like doing that. But tonight, it was a Independence Day dinner stream, a special one, in addition to my regular Sunday streams that I do at 7 p.m. U.S. Central. The 27th, as I said earlier, but for those who just came in, 27th of July, I will be at Lake Icaria with my family. At least those who are able to come. There are some who may not be able to for various reasons, but I'm still going. I'll be riding with one of my sisters since I don't drive. Lake Icaria is outside of a town called Corning. That's here in Iowa. My late dad grew up in the area, so he knew that area quite well. There was a memorial bench next to the lake with his name on it. That's one among a growing number of benches that surround the lake. My mom paid Adams County a certain amount of money to have his name put on one of those benches. I guess that's getting to be pretty popular because the county keeps adding benches every year. But that's actually good because it means more places right along the shore to sit. Yeah, just watch the water, or you get your line in the water. You can sit there and wait for a fish to take your lure. Well, Mother Earth, I'm sure you have your limits. There are certain things you won't do, just like all of us. Yeah, I enjoyed doing the home care as well, but then the company that I worked for got bought out by another, and name change. They changed some of the rules that we had to follow. That part didn't bother me really, but there was just something about being more corporate than patient or client oriented that, I don't know, just seemed kind of odd. And because I ride city buses, that made that job even harder because I could not go everywhere that they wanted me to go. I could not go at certain times on certain days because of the bus schedule. And before buses started running on Sundays, they called me on a Sunday and asked me if I could go to Grimes, and I said, now if you pop for the cab fare, I'll do it, but they wouldn't do it, so they had to get someone else. Because I was not going to drop a whole mess of coin for a cab and not get reimbursed for that. But the first year that I worked there, they wanted me to do mileage like drivers do. I can't do that. I ride buses, I walk. If I ride 2 buses to get to a location, I can't log 2 sets of odometer numbers because the form only allows 1 per trip. 1 pair of odometer numbers, and I'm not nipping odometer readings off of buses. And that wouldn't account for any distance I walk. So it took me a whole year to convince them that if you just reimburse me for a monthly bus pass, you got easy math. You don't have to do those complicated calculations. So they finally gave in to that. Anders. Now these are from a company called Olight, and I just brought them out because they look patriotic. They got the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes. So just a little extra color for the table, since this is a holiday edition of my dinner stream. Deanne, thanks for dropping in. Well, I have eaten my meal. This is a 2024 pack US MRE menu 19. I had a little fun with it. I made some change-ups. I added a few items to the meal, took a few items off. Just to have a little fun with it. The orange drink that was originally in the bag got replaced with an instant iced tea mix. After all, iced tea is a very popular summertime drink. At least around here it is. The au gratin potatoes were part of the MRE, as were the peanut M&Ms. I had what's called patriotic sugar cookies, more like busted up sugar cookies. That was not included. This was apple cinnamon granola, a breakfast item. I'm actually going to eat this for breakfast one day. It's made, this one is made by Mountain House. And a new bread item called mini loaf. It's a pre-sliced, but when I tried to separate the two halves, it just came apart. So I had 2 wheat snack breads, and that's what I put the jalapeno beef patty on. The MRE had mayonnaise and barbecue sauce, which I did not use, and it had the cheese spread with bacon, which I did not use. I do not eat pork, so I had a cheese spread with jalapenos. I figured, why not more jalapenos on a jalapeno beef patty? So that's what I did. And I had ketchup and mustard from my kitchen to make it a proper cheeseburger. But I did eat that other bread. I put some of the cheese spread on one of the larger pieces of that bread. It tastes different than the wheat snack bread. But because this one was so tightly vacuum packed that that bread got crushed. Yeah, the fireworks being popped off around my neighborhood and in the park across the street. So those pops and booms that you're hearing, despite my slider being closed and my air conditioner running. This menu was one of the few of the 2024 lineup that actually had the coffee. If it did not have coffee, I would have gone with the instant coffee that I pulled from my stash. As but that's what I did, just to have a little fun with it. I just want to do a holiday special, so to speak, for those that maybe wanted to find something different to watch if they weren't into watching fireworks or was not something available. You know, just to be a little different. But this Sunday I will do my regular Sunday night dinner with goulash MRE. That one I referenced this past Sunday. So I will be opening that one up. That is one of my favorite MRE menus of the current lineup. as is the jalapeno beef patty. I do like that. So that's what will be coming up this coming Sunday. Not quite the goulash comparison that I wanted, considering what the Polish ration offered up instead of what I thought it would be. But I have another goulash MRE, so I may try to get another Polish ration that actually has the goulash that I would have expected, so I can try that comparison again. It might be a little difficult, but I'm going to try to get it. Yep. In fact, it says Oregon freeze dry on this bag. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but it does say Oregon freeze dry on there. I have actually not had this granola before, so the blueberry, yeah, I really do like that one. That's a good one. Azos, what was I opened up a 2024 pack US MRE menu 19, and I had a little fun with it. Made a few changes to the meal just to make it a little more holiday themed. But I finished off everything that I had intended to. I hear the fireworks going off around the neighborhood and in the park across the street from my building. It's hard to see much because I got my light on and it's dark outside, and I got trees in front of the building, plus the trees that are on this side of the park. It's hard to see much. And I just don't feel like going out onto my deck right now. But thanks for dropping in, Tim. I'm probably going to go ahead and call this one good anyway. But for those that came in late, I hope you do check it out from the beginning when it becomes available for replay, so you can see what was all in here, plus the other items that I substituted. For items that were in the MRE bag. Again, this coming Sunday, 7 p.m. U.S. Central, it'll be the goulash. There are some of the viewers who have not had it yet. I told them, you got to try it, you got to get it, because I like it. Normally I don't do these on a Friday night, but because today was Independence Day, I wanted to have a little special one. So I put up a poll on my community tab, and the jalapeno beef patty menu had more votes than the barbecue beef. And I threw my two patriotic lights on the table just for a little color. These are from Olite. Unfortunately, I do not have one that does blue handy right now. But these are red, white, and blue already, so that's good. I do American rations, both military and civilian. Foreign rations when I can get them. It's a lot harder than it used to be. But when I can get a hold of them, I do. Military and civilian. And I have gotten a hold of some custom rations that were made either by an individual, or there are companies that will make their own custom civilian rations and sell them. I have one of those. I have made a couple custom rations and sent them to other reviewers. And when I do my next giveaway, there will definitely be ration related items in the prize pack. Plus a few other goodies that I will throw in. I'm still working on that. It's going to take a little more time to get all that figured out. Welcome, Ralsei. I hope that's correct. It's going good here. Fireworks being popped off around here. Different types. Some I can hear over my air conditioner noise and my slider being closed. The quieter ones and more distant ones I can't. But people pop them off in the park, even though they're not supposed to. Some will do it on the street. Plus on their own properties. Our new law says you can shoot off your own fireworks just on your property where you're living. Not supposed to do it in public spaces, but they do it anyway. Yeah, I had a little fun with this jalapeno beef patty MRE. So it'll, once YouTube makes it ready for replay, you can catch it from the beginning, as I said, to see what was inside here originally, plus what I added to it, and which items I did not use. But these things that did not get used, like the barbecue sauce, mayonnaise, the cheese spread with bacon that originally came in here will be passed on to another person. Now this is a hot beverage bag. I did not use it, but I save all these bags because these are good for keeping small items dry. As well as for using it to mix a drink in. I prefer the Canadian ones better because they have a gusset on the bottom, whereas this doesn't. And this flameless ration heater, I figure I'm at home, I don't need to use it, but I save them in case I do. Plus, if I travel with the ration, I can use this to heat up the entree if I don't have a way to heat it any other way. So I do save these. And the plastic spoon gets added to my bag of spoons, which I will get into if I have to severely restrict my water usage because of either contamination or loss of pressure. Something happens with our water system here in Des Moines. So I save all those for that. So this will become part of that stash. And having all these rations has allowed me to accumulate a fair number of these plastic utensils. I save all the moist towelettes. I save all the rear rolls. All these little things I bag up because one day I may have to get into those and use them. I'm not much of a gum chewer, but I do save these little gum packets because I may need to use these. So I hope you can all come back again on Sunday when I dig into that goulash MRE. Again, that one is also 2024 pack out of the same case as this one. This is from case B, which is menus 13 to 24. I am going to enjoy that, and I hope y'all will too. I like seeing new names pop up in the chat, and hopefully there'll be return viewers. But I'm going to go ahead and call this one done for now. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight on this U.S. Independence Day. So back at it on Sunday. Anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.